Word problems. That's something that just drives fear into many students and maybe even many parents as they look back on their algebra days or their math days of whatever math they were taking. Word problems often drive us crazy because, hey, they're with words and I'm trying to deal with numbers here. So I'm going to walk you through just how we deal with these and try to do this without tears. We oftentimes panic at the beginning of seeing a word problem, and there's no need for that. So we're going to just trying to transition in this, see if we can walk through a simple method of doing this. I have a problem here at a concert. There's two adult tickets and three student tickets are 42. But if I do it the other way around, 3 adult tickets and 2 student tickets are 48. So what's the price of each ticket? So the first thing I'm doing is, the first thing I like to do is just figure out, let's define the variables, right? Is because I see I have some numbers here. I have a 2 and a 3 and a 42. But I also see that there's adult tickets and there is student tickets on each one. That seems to be the key thing. And what is he asking for in the problem? What's the price of each, meaning what's the price of an adult and what's the price of a student? So I'm just going to say A is equal to adult, right? And S is equal to student. Okay, you start there. That sounds really simple and maybe overly simplified, but writing that step down is I have now defined my variables. Define variables. My team tells me I write rough, so I'm trying, but I think you get the idea. So, all right, so that's the first step is now I have an A and an S. Now with an A and an S, I can start thinking about equations. All right, so just take this one step at a time, just like I'm doing. Just let's first define it. You've done that. Now let's do equations. What do I know? Well, 2 adult tickets. Okay, so 2 times the price of an adult ticket. And maybe I should have written up here, these are adult price and they are student price. But so 2 times the adult price, okay, whatever that is. If it's $20, 2 adult tickets is going to be 40, right? So now plus the 3 times the student price. So if each student is $5, it's $15, right? And we're adding them together because it's all the students together, the cost of the students with the cost of the adults. They're going to be added together. And so what does it say? It says 2 adults plus, and anytime you see the word plus, and, by the way, in word problems, it usually is, look at these key connect words. And, 2 and, sounds like plus. And sometimes you'll see 2 times, it sounds like multiply. So the words can give you hints. So 2 and is saying we're going to add those together. And the total cost is $42. All right. So I'm going to put a dollar sign there just to remember we're working with money. And now it says 3 adults. If I do this differently, 3 adults and 2 students is equal to $48. Okay? Sounds like the adult tickets are maybe more if you're just looking at the guessing here. But what I have just written is 2 equations. Okay, so now I have defined the equations, or I've written the equations. Now, once you're at this point, you have solved the problem. At least you're back to math. You have 2 equations, 2 unknowns. We are back to, and we'll put a link in the notes to the videos where we do simultaneous equations. This is 2 different equations. So now what I want to do is I just want to solve the system, right? So I can either do this by elimination, which will multiply and subtract, getting rid of one variable, or I will do by substitution. So what I'm going to do is just elimination, and if you don't remember this, we'll go back to the video, but I'm going to solve it because we've actually kind of done the hard part here. But now what I'm going to say is I'm going to multiply this equation by 3, and this equation, the first equation by 3, and the second equation by 2. So it's going to give me 6a, I'm multiplying the whole equation by 3, plus 9s is equal to 42 times 3. I'm just going to write it like that, okay, because I don't know in my head what that is, right? So, all right, now I'm going to say this. I'm going to multiply the second equation times 2, and that's going to give me 6a plus 4s is equal to 48 times 2. Okay, I can get my calculator out real quick and do that, or just do that in my head, but I'm just going to leave it like that. So now just make sure that this is times 3. So this is 6a plus 9s, then 42 times 3 and 6a. Just going back over and looking over, you've done things. But now what I've got is these two different equations, and I can subtract the two. Because if I have 6a minus 6a, basically this is left as 0. 9s minus 4s, this is left with 5s, and then it's going to be this total over here. And I'm just going to pop out my calculator really quickly just so I do this correctly. You know, if you were really smart, you would have done this ahead of time to make sure you've done this, but we're not. This is going to be, this one was 126, and then 48 times 2 is 96. Now, I actually knew that in my head, but I'm just double checking. So now 126 minus 96, I am using my trusty calculator right here, is equal to 30. So now what we have is 5s is equal to 30. So 30 divided by 5, we're going to divide through both times, and so we have s is equal to 6. So the cost of a student ticket is $6. So now all I have to do, and I'm just going to scroll this screen up a little bit, all I have to do is say, well, if s is equal to 6, then I know that 2, oops, that's not supposed to be that. I have to get rid of that. 2a plus 3s equals 42. Excuse me, my pen is not working correctly. And so that's 2a plus, since s is 6, that's going to be 3 times 6 is equal to 42. And that's going to be 2a plus, now 3 times 6 is 18 is equal to 42. Okay? So now I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. And then what we're going to get there when we do that is 2a equals to 24. And so a is going to be equal to 12. And so that's how we solve that problem. Now, obviously, I can take the a and the s and go back into the other equation and verify that they are the correct numbers. But this is how we walk through this. This is the methodology that we use to go through systems of word problems. You first define your variables, and that can take a minute. Okay, looking at the problem, what are they asking for, and what are the things I'm solving for? That's the variables. And then getting equations written. Now, once you've got the equations written down, we're back into just algebra. And all of the word problems, in my experience, they're actually usually easier. Once you can kind of get to figure out what the words are, the math isn't so hard. But figuring out what the words do just doesn't make sense, you know, as you're writing down the equations. And as I went to that first step and said, okay, here's my variables, and then write down my equations, and then look back at the words. Does that make sense? Does that look like that flows? And take your time doing it, right? Because I kind of got to where I'd found word problems a little bit fun. just trying to figure out what it is. Because in any time in the words we always hear from people is I never use algebra in the real world. Actually, we do. And actually, if you can think through this the way we're talking about right now, you will probably use it even more. So, hope that helps. This is the kind of content we cover in the Algebra 1 class, our video series. We also look at it in Algebra 2, obviously, but in Algebra 1, we teach this, and we are using the Jacobs textbook with our videos. There will be a link to that below. Thanks a lot.